So in the previous video, we saw that we established BGP between Versa router in branch 1 and the LAN router in branch 1, and we exchanged the loopback IP 20.20.20.1 into the LAN VR of branch 1. So let's verify it again. We have this 20.20.20.1 and 2. These are the loopback IPs on the Cisco router. But do we have these routes on branch 2 router? So let's verify it. So show route routing instance customer LAN VR, and here we don't see those loopback IP routes. And why is that? Because if branch 1 has those routes in the LAN VR, it should have advertised it to controller, and branch 2 MPLS should have received them, and they have underlay IP, underlay transport as MPLS. To verify that, first see if branch 1 router is advertising this loopback prefix to controller. For that, the command is show route table l3vpn.ipv4.unicast routing instance customer A control VR advertising protocol BGP neighbor address and then the IP address of the controller. Once we issue this command, we see that branch 1 control VR is only advertising the LAN interface to the controller, and it's not advertising the loopback IP routes that it received from BGP. To check it, let's go to the LAN VR and let's see this redistribution policy at the end. We open this redistribution policy, and here what it says is that the paired TVI are being rejected and the directly connected interfaces are accepted. So only these directly connected interfaces are going to be advertised to the controller. Here, with the help of example, we have VNI 0/2, IP is 10.82.82.1/24. This prefix is only being advertised to the controller and not the BGP route received from the LAN router in branch 1. Here we can see in the redistribution policy the term only mentions for direct. So what we will do, we will create a new term that will allow the routes received from BGP to be advertised to the controller. So we create a new term, let's say name it allow BGP, and we will match protocol BGP, and the action is accept already. So we click OK on it, and we click OK here also, and OK. Now in this redistribution policy, we are advertising directly connected routes as well as routes received from BGP. So let's see, once we did this config change, are we advertising the loopback IPs to the controller? And here we can see that now we are advertising these loopback IPs to the controller. And let's verify from branch 2 router, are we receiving it now? And sure enough, we have these routes in the LAN VR routing table on branch 2 MPLS. Let's revisit this redistribution policy once more that we saw. So here in this redistribution policy, the first term is paired TVI, and then the address range is 169.254.0.0/16. These paired TVIs are used to make interconnection between LAN and transport VR, and these are locally significant IPs, and we don't want to advertise them, so we always reject them. And apart from this, by default only the directly connected interfaces are allowed, and that is why we created a separate term to add BGP routes, so that we advertise the BGP routes towards the controller.